Hi everyone, this is day 2 at the American Immigration Lawyer Association, and today on this live, or with TikTok, with YouTube, with Instagram, we're going to be sharing the things that I learned today. And I was one of the speakers today, and so I'm talking about adjustment of status, right? This is the Immigration Lawyer Conference. It's the largest immigration conference in the world for U.S. immigration, and it happens once a year, and right now we're in San Diego. So there's so many sessions that were covered. There was the removal track, there was business track, there was family track. But today I want to share some of the key insights that we gleaned that all the different practitioners are sharing. And mind you, a lot of these things are pro tips, anecdotal evidence, things that are you only know if you're on the ground fighting the battle, right? So one of the things that I learned today that was really surprising to me, and I'm not sure how to process it, is that if you are filing business cases online, which they just opened and it was working flawlessly for a while, now we're seeing hiccups. But the hiccups is not what you would expect. The hiccup is not how the online problem was in the past, where you filed it but they didn't receive it or things were missing. It wasn't the problems of old. The problems that we're seeing now is AI problems, meaning a lot of people who have filed online filing have said that they are almost certain AI has reviewed what they have provided and pumped out a AI generated request for evidence or AI denial. And that is a shocker. And their advice is that you should not be doing online filing, you should doing paper filing. Now, the reason why I don't understand that is because when we file cases physically, contractors take it from USCIS and they scan it into the system. If AI can analyze a digitally filed system, why can't AI analyze a contract-based file system? Maybe it's the storage, I'm not sure, but this is news to me and I'm just thinking about it. So if anybody else has filed anything and they feel like AI is analyzing the case and denying the case and is not a human being who's reviewing your case, that is something that's really concerning, especially so much of immigration law is discretionary. The wisdom of Congress and the law and the democracy is relying on human judgment. Deciding whether or not somebody is extraordinary and deserve of a green card in their field takes a human being to read through a case to decide and make a decision. If you allow that to AI, then you're essentially allowing ones and zeros decide the future of the population of America, whether or not they could be green card holders, visa holders. The situation we're seeing is that if we let AI adjudicate things that require discretion, it becomes a situation where, again, ones and zeros machines are deciding the fate of America. And that might not be a good thing, especially with the most recent trends where everything has discretion involved. If somebody comes in as a tourist, wants to file an extension to stay a little longer, that's discretion now. If you file a adjustment of status, that is discretion. If you file for citizenship, there's a lot of discretion. If everything requires discretion, then what is AI doing in adjudicating these? It's totally fine if AI is reading through everything and pinpointing certain things for the officer to look at, to interview, but a lot of interviews are not being conducted and denials are arriving. So that is the thing that we're most concerned about. So right now, I know the consulates use AI because when I toured the Mexico consulate, they showed us how they're using it. But I think they're using it the right way, right? People fill out their DS-160s, but then AI uses it to scrub the information and to compare it to the immigration history that they know of, and they flag any discrepancies. And if there are no discrepancies, they waive the visa interview and the applicant directly gets the visa in the passport. Great, no interview scheduled. That makes everything much easier. But if there are one or two discrepancies, it's an automatic interview, or it's automatically flagged for a small department of people to review, to decide if an interview is necessary. And more often than not, there is an interview that's required. And so that's why filling out your DS-160 to the consulate and applying for a visa is so important, because if you do it well, it might save everybody time and effort, right? The consulate doesn't want to do these interviews any more than you do.
So what are we talking about here?
We're talking about people who are applying for a tourist visa who wants to come to the U.S. or other types of visa, or renewing a tourist visa that they've already had, right? Sometimes your interview could be waived, and that's because they're using AI to scrub everything, and there's no discrepancy, there's no problems. They could just immediately approve it. Other visa categories like the E2 treaty investor visa, well, that's probably going to have an interview. If you're applying for a green card and you're applying for an immigrant visa at the consulate, you're going to get an interview, right? No matter how well you fill out the DS2 660, it's mandated that you get an interview. But AI still scrubs through everything and highlights information for the interviewing officer to note and to ask. But what we're concerned about and what we're hearing from the panelists, at least at this AI convention, is that they are seeing requests for evidence that's seemingly generated by AI, because a human would not write like that and use that. And we all seen AI writing, and so we have a pretty good feeling that that's what it's doing. And that doesn't seem fair, even at the request for evidence stage. And if it's at the denial stage, that is even worse. Meaning, if you submit your application for anything, for a green card, for citizenship, for your extraordinary ability, category visa, you submit it. If a human being did not look at it and AI scrubs through it, gives a request for evidence, you respond to it with a stack of documents, and then AI scrubs it again and sends out the denial saying, sorry, you do not qualify. That is really concerning. Now, we are getting to the age of, well, what's the difference between a human looking at it, doesn't quite believe you, copies and pastes something from Word into the system and sends out the denial? Isn't that roughly the same as AI? I would argue no. At least a human mind went through that process. A faulty human mind, nonetheless, democracy and our society depends on humans. And it's okay if there are incorrect human judgments. But once we have AI completely takeover, that's a problem. Now, that's why I'm so shocked by what the panelists are saying, that AI might be doing this. If they're adjudicating things like I-90 extensions, very basic things, and they're just checking the forms, maybe I'm a little bit more okay with it. But still, everything, it requires discretion. And if AI replaces an officer, that is not right. Again, these are just anecdotal things that we're hearing, but that is one of the most shocking thing that I've learned at AILA in a long time. And a solution doesn't even quite work in my mind, right? Because solution is don't file online, file physically. But I mean, they still scan it and it's still in the data bank, right? What is my favorite part of AILA so far? Let me think. There's a lot of things that I really enjoyed. I love the brainstorming that is happening here. I see nonprofits and other nonprofits getting together and trying to hash out exactly how to survive in this administration. Fundings are being cut to nonprofits. They don't have the ability to staff their attorneys or their paralegals. Other nonprofits that are doing pro bono, they can't do a case for 10, 20 years, right? Lawyers don't stay at the same law firm. How do you solve that? And I saw two nonprofits come up with this solution, that the nonprofits that get with the limited funding to have as many cases filed, they have non-attorney staff prepare and file cases, but they hire the pro bono attorneys from another law firm to consult and to do the cases. So that mashup was a perfect solution to solve two problems given this administration. Another thing I really enjoy about AILA, here's another one. Having gone through, talk with almost every single exhibitor, I've seen these same companies for the past 10 years that I've been coming to AILA. Actually, more than that. I've probably been coming to AILA for the past 14 to 18 years, okay? A lot of these same vendors, they encounter the same problems, and they see the same issues. And they are trying to survive just like immigration attorneys and just like clients. Cases are getting denied. Cases are being challenged. How can they evolve? They are struggling, and they're coming up with creative solutions as well. And just knowing that and just hearing their solutions is eye-opening, because you realize it's not clients who are just suffering. Immigration attorneys are coming to these conferences to sharing trade secrets with each other on how to win cases. But vendors and these companies that help immigration, they are also trying to come up with creative solutions to help the attorneys, to help the clients. And so coming to this conference really makes you feel warm and cozy because you know you're not alone, and everybody is here trying to survive and trying to make it work. And I think that is the greatest value in coming physically to this conference. The knowledge, phenomenal, great speakers. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about all the people who pour their heart and soul into something like this. But being here and being able to just sit and talk with other fellow practitioners and vendors, nonprofits, think tanks, government relations, AILA full-time staff, coming together and trying to figure out a path out of a difficult spot. That's amazing. I see questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and answer some of those questions first.
My green card parents submitted their I-131 travel permits 1 month ago.
Yes.
But they're still waiting.
Yes.
What should they do? They want to travel now.
Yes. Travel permits have notoriously taken an extremely long time, especially nowadays with the adjustment of status, a memo that just came out in May 21st, 22nd. They're essentially saying, if you wanted to travel, if you want to leave, you should have just applied for a green card back at home. You shouldn't have done it here. So that is going to complicate things a lot more. Now, you can try to do an emergency advance parole, okay? And there's several ways you could go about doing that. You could do it at the InfoPass, and we did a separate story. You could check it out on YouTube. We talked about how we went about doing something like that. There's you could contact congressmen, and there's things that you can do. Now, I'm just going to share with you a little bit. The officer that's adjudicating the emergency advance parole, they want to hear something severe, major humanitarian crisis. Somebody is passing away, a loss of limb, not just a desire to go on a vacation. They could say you can vacation in the United States, right? You don't need to leave the country. You're being adjudicated. If you leave, you're abandoning your adjustment of status. So 1 month is actually extremely short. We've seen advanced paroles, normal processing, even emergency advanced paroles take 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or even longer.
So they have their green cards already, but they want to travel for longer than 6 months.
Got it. So that's not that big of an issue. If you already applied, it's already been a month, hopefully you already did your biometrics. If not, your biometrics should be arriving within 1, 2, or 3 weeks. Once you do your biometrics, then you feel you can be safe to leave, because then the reentry permit will be in process. And typically it will be in process for 1.5 years. I would highly recommend you stay out of the country until the reentry permit gets issued and you come back into the country with that reentry permit in hand. So for some clients, that's wonderful news. They want to leave for more than 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, 3 years. If that's the case, congrats, this administration has helped you. But if you only want to be out for 3 months to 6 months or a little bit longer, this reentry permit thing almost doesn't make sense. You filing the reentry permit, having done the fingerprint, paid the fee, leaving, it is a protection, but it is not the ultimate protection. You should still prepare an entry package to prove your travel abroad is not an abandonment of your green card. And you want to be able to explain that this is like a one-time thing.
Okay, I'm hearing it's a little hard to hear you, Joseph.
Okay.
So can you try to speak louder?
I will try to speak louder, and I don't know if getting closer would actually help because we have mics.
Yeah,
right?
not in this case. I'll move this mic a little bit closer.
Okay.
So hopefully this will sound better.
What if I hold it?
It's gonna be
okay.
It's gonna be
cool. All right.
So hopefully this is a bit better.
Okay. Next question.
Are you a lawyer?
I am a lawyer. I'm a certified immigration law specialist. It's kind of like the surgeons of lawyers, in a sense of you. Not only do you have to pass the bar exam in California, I had to have worked in the field of immigration for 10 years or more. I had to get a whole bunch of letter recommendations from judges, from other attorneys, in order to qualify as a certified immigration specialist. I have to take an immigration bar exam, which is extremely hard. So I'm very happy that I got this certification. I'm very proud to be among the very, very few and one of the youngest certified specialists in California. There's actually not that many of us. And I'm also one of the graders and testers for this immigration law specialist for the state bar. But that doesn't mean I know everything about immigration law. I'm surrounded by experts in immigration in this conference, and I'm so humbled that they're constantly teaching me and learning. Now, with that being said, I do practice a lot of business immigration and I do a lot of family immigration. I don't know that much about removal defense, even though we have had to do some. And we definitely don't do a lot of asylum cases. So if you guys have any questions about removal or asylum, there's only so much I can answer. But if it's anything else about immigration, I'm happy to share my 2 cents.
Interesting. I'm hearing our YouTube say still no better. Sounds like he's in a hole.
Sounds like I'm in a hole, huh?
So
Okay.
TikTok, are you guys hearing this too, or is this just a YouTube thing? First of all, other than that, I have a marriage-based green card interview coming up. What's the best advice you can give me?
Great. The best advice is when you go to the interview, treat the officer with a lot of respect. It might be a 10-minute interview. It might be a 20, 30-minute interview. This officer might be new. They might have a lot of memos. If you really want to prepare well, go ahead and read through and use ChatGPT if you want to, read through the adjudicator field manual and how they are supposed to conduct said interview. I would also recommend go through the requirements. Again, refresh your memory, go through the 45 form and really prepare all the documents and original documents so you can provide it to the officer so it is as easy for them to adjudicate as possible. Do their job for them. Pretend you are an officer, pretend you are their supervisor, and conduct that interview accordingly. Now, if you're stressed, just convert that feeling to be an exciting thing, an excitement. And again, it should be a great day. Most of the officers that I know are good officers, so they will be fair, but don't read too much into their emotions. They're supposed to be fair and strict, and so I wish you the best of luck.
Okay, thank you, Hazy One. I'm hearing this mic is not connected, so we're gonna end our YouTube live and restart it again.
Okay.
So just hold on tight. YouTube, TikTok is, I guess, going fine. My husband's DACA expired 150 days next month. Is it worth filing a mandamus lawsuit?
No. DACA is taking longer and longer, and that's extremely understandable, especially with all the court cases that have been rolled out, especially in Texas. And so the play of the land is really not in your favor. And when you do a mandamus action, it is a with everything that's going on in immigration, and we have done a lot of mandamus actions, right? If you look at our YouTube channel, we just did one for 5 families, and we successfully got all of them, but we're seeing it get more and more pushback. In the past, you might see, a mandamus action, you see results within a month, you see results within 2 months. Now, sometimes it's 4 to 6 months, right? So spending a lot of money and effort on a mandamus action for a DACA case, it's definitely much harder. Now, if it's way beyond processing time, way beyond, and you feel like the government is directly targeting you for no just reason, maybe you're forced to do a mandamus action.
Oh, but what was the menu name you said to look into? This is regarding the marriage-based green card interview. Memo?
Adjustment? Adjudicator field manual. Adjudicator field manual. The training manual for officers who are supposed to be conducting these 45 interviews. So you can take a look at them. What is their protocol? What are they supposed to do how are they supposed to greet you? How are they supposed to adjudicate? When there is a denial, how should they write it? What must they write, right? And so take a look at that. I think once you put yourself in the officer's mindset, I think it's much more helpful for you.
And how long does it take to get an SB1 visa?
We've done it. It is extremely hard. Speed to get it is not the thing. It's the denial rate is more than 99%. So, you apply, you get the first interview, you get the second interview, you get the denial. The speed at which they give you the interview is not long, a couple months. But if you've left the US for more than a year, it's really hard to get it. And I've had many clients that have gotten it and regret getting it because of the laborious effort in which they have to go through once the SB1 is approved. Once the SB1 is approved, they still have to go through so much, and they're like, goodness gracious, I wish I just directly entered with your help, and that way we didn't have to go through this process. And that's the thing. If you're going through the SB1 process, presumably you've left the US for some time. But if you watch our YouTube channel, right, in the past 5 years, we've helped hundreds, I think over 300 clients now that have re-entered the US, even though they left the US for over a year. And the most recent one was 7.5 years. My craziest one was 13 years, right? That's just unbelievable, right? Even I still don't believe it. But 13 years out of the country, but the officers still let them in, right? And green card was saved. So take a good look at the arguments. But SB1 is extremely difficult at the consulates.
Can I come back after a voluntary departure?
Can you come back into the US after a voluntary departure? The answer is yes. You will have to reapply a visa at the consulate. And depending on your immigration history, you might need a waiver. And so that's the complicated thing, right? And so if it was a removal, voluntary departure, how are you going to get that waiver? Do you have a qualifying relative, et cetera, et cetera? That is something that you have to really think through. Maybe you have to wait the 10 years, right? Maybe you have to have an extraordinary non-immigrant visa to come back, but you'll never be able to get an immigrant visa to come back. So there's a lot of things to kind of think through. But know your fact pattern, know your exact case in the US, because any immigration lawyer who wants to help you analyze it, they would need your entire A file.
I'm a US citizen, filed I-130 for my foreign spouse on May 2025. Can I expect the I-130 approval anytime soon?
We have seen 3 months to 6 months approvals for I-130s and 45s, but we have also seen cases take 9 months to over a year for these I-130 and 45 interviews. So it's all over the place. We always set our client expectation that this entire process could take 2 years. Obviously, could be faster.
Marriage AOS to US citizen has been pending since November of 2024. Anything I can do to speed it up?
Your US citizen should probably contact their congressman or senator, because they are their constituents, and say, hey, look, I'm married. It is my right to petition, and it's taking way beyond processing time. It sounds like it's almost 2 years now before we are hearing anything. We are seeing some cases get approved within 3 months to 6 months. What's going on? The congressman and the senator would be able to send an email to USCIS to alert them of this problem, and USCIS could end up adjudicating the case much faster.
Okay, our K1 has been sent to the NBC when the fiance came to the US. We plan to move to another state. So K1 sent to NBC when they came into the US. We want to move to another state. Is that okay?
Yes. Yes. You're free to move wherever you want in the country.
Okay. Okay, so it's at NBC still. Does that change anything? So they're separated, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can move wherever. The goal is you have to prove, your relationship is real. So where you move is not the most important thing.
Will they issue working permits for a spouse with adjustment of status?
Will they issue work permits for spouse?
Will they issue working permit for spouse with adjustment of status? And if so, when?
Work permits and travel permits typically take 4 months to 6 months. That what we're seeing here in California. In other parts of the country, it might be a little faster, and a lot of times they might skip it completely and just issue the green card. We've just heard from our Florida colleagues. I spoke with 2 Miami attorneys on this adjustment status issue, and they're seeing their processing time between 3 to 6 to 8 months. And most of the time, skip the work permit, travel permit, and just directly go to green card. Several of our California colleagues, including myself, routinely see cases that take more than 8-9 months, and work permits and travel permits issued maybe around 6 months. So all around the country, different processing time, and therefore different advice to different clients.
Can you tell me how tornadoes form, please? I really want to know.
I wish I knew too.
So you can't?
No.
Have you seen any advanced paroles being approved for DACA?
Yes, advanced parole approved. Successfully leave the country, obviously, but successfully coming back into the country, much more important. And I haven't seen, at least from our office for sure, and from our colleagues, I haven't heard of advanced parole being denied entry into the US. Or typically they will call me, right?
Oh, about the moving, don't forget AR-11 if you need.
Yep, AR-11 is a great tool. You always want to update. With that being said, I haven't seen much pushback from the government fining people if you didn't update your AR-11 in time, because you're supposed to do it immediately. But yes, anytime you move, definitely fill it out. AR-11 takes you less than 5 minutes.
What is the extreme criteria that the officers think that is proof of a bona fide marriage?
If you're talking about you have a higher standard of proof in your application because you had a prior asylum claim. So most cases, when it's just married to a US citizen, you have to just be a preponderance of the evidence. Meaning, if your application is 50% real, more likely than not, okay, we'll approve your case. But if you had an asylum case in the past, now it's not just preponderance of the evidence. It's not just, oh, I need to be more likely than not 50%. Now you need to be like 90, 98%. That it has to be 100% real, indisputable, right? So if you're talking about like, well, what is that indisputable, slam dunk proof? And a single proof that is both sufficient and necessary in order to, well, not say necessary, but sufficient in order to completely win your marriage case, even though you have such a high standard of proof. I wouldn't even say one kid is enough. Most officers probably grant you, if you have a birth certificate with both parents' names on it, that's probably enough. But I have seen an officer still ask detailed questions about the marriage. So I'm like, wow, that's insane. If you really want to say detailed, indisputable proof, probably everything else that people do, and then like you donate an organ or you save the other person's life, or you're like on a documentary or something, like something that's so crazy that the officer doesn't need anything else and just completely buys it. Most people don't have that. And so you have to work with what you have. And there is rarely anything that's necessary or sufficient. You have to help the officer understand your situation. Not everybody's wealthy. Not everybody's religious. Not everybody's political. People have different lifestyles. Not everybody's straight. Not everyone's gay. Everybody have different lifestyles. Help the officer understand in your situation, in your life, that this is the love that you have. But this love, you have this proof, and that should be more than enough. Do your best.
RP says, I'm in the Midwest and I had joint horse adoption papers. I think that won my case.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes.
Is that the first you've heard of that?
That's the first that I've heard of it, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Can I not claim my 18-year-old child on taxes so that FPL is lower, or is that a bad idea?
I don't know. I haven't really thought through that. But yeah, good question.
FPL.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like the tie, very sharp.
Thank you.
Very beautiful. I'm a permanent resident, green card holder, renewal. My reentry permit last year, October 18th, 2025.
You gonna say that again?
Permanent resident.
Yeah.
Renewal, my reentry. So renewed my reentry permit last year, October 18th, 2025.
Okay.
Any thoughts?
It takes about a year and a half right now. So we were seeing a lot of cases take a year and a half or longer. 16 months, I think we're seeing sometimes now, or even longer. So it's just in processing.
Are you a con artist?
Thank you for the flattery, but no.
Oh, federal poverty level must meet 125%.
Yes. Federal poverty guideline.
K1 marriage.
I see. Are you saying by adding your kid to your tax return, when you file a case, you get more? When you file the IRS tax returns, you get more credit, but will that harm your immigration case? I mean, if the public charge rule for USCIS was updated last year, I believe August, we did a very detailed video on the public charge rule, and they're looking very in depth into it. In the past, the denial rate for somebody that on public charge is like extremely low. It's like in the double digits for all of the United States. It's extremely low, like probably less than 2% or something like that. That's what pissed off Donald Trump a lot, because he thinks a lot of people should be denied the public charge. So the big amendment regarding public charge is that now, even if you do meet the poverty guideline, even if you have a joint sponsor, it might still not be enough based on discretion. So based on what you said, does it lower your chance? Yes. But look at everything else. Use their memo to your best advantage. They look at your health. If you are extremely fit and healthy and able to work, well, having an extra dependent might not harm you. as much. If you are highly educated, if you held a job for an extremely long time, if you have great Yelp and Google reviews, if you have letter recommendations from your employers and customers, those all can help you, right? So I think holistically, look at everything. If you are way past the threshold of public charge, I wouldn't worry about it. And honestly, since that memo came out in August of last year, that caused huge waves in the immigration community, everybody's like stressed and worried that USCIS is going to start denying a bunch of cases based on public charge. Up till now, I haven't seen a single case get denied on public charge based on the new memo. So take that with a grain of salt, understand your situation, but most likely, when you review everything, if you feel you're well above the 125% guideline, you have a lot of things going for you. You have assets, you have income. Don't worry about adding the kid.
You have a JD or an MBA?
I have a JD. Our firm have many MBA legal writers, but I have a JD.
On this public charge issue,
yes,
a lot of people forget that they already have 40 SSA credits already. That should bypass public charge.
Yes. That most often I see a lot of Indian nationals, people who are on H-1B, people who have worked in the U.S. for a long time. Then they have the 40 credits, but many other people who are foreigners out of the country, they might not have that. So that's something to think about.
Is there a time limit that you have to file for an LLC while your digital business is actively generating income?
For immigration purposes or for tax purposes, I'm not entirely sure. It depends on, I guess, which visa category, because a lot of visa categories even allow for sole proprietors, believe it or not. So you don't even have to use an LLC or a C Corp or an S Corp. You can't do an S Corp if you're a foreigner, but C Corp or LLC, just do a sole proprietorship, right?
What can a person who is in asylum, who asked for asylum is denied, and they're in ICE detention, what can they do to stay in the U.S.?
We don't do asylum, we don't do removal, and we don't do detention work, so I'm not in the best position to answer that question. I will try to find out. I'm actively working with the American Bar Association to partner with them to be able to do more work and to help people in the detention center. At this AILA conference yesterday, I spent a long time with the ABA's nonprofit organization head to discuss partnerships. So we're going to roll that out. So in the coming months, we will probably prepare, and I will be in a better position to help answer that question. But right now, I just don't know.
A German citizen with adjustment of status, must she go back to Germany to collect that visa?
If you're doing an adjustment of status in the United States, you have filed a 485 application. If it gets approved, the green card will directly be mailed to you, and you would have the green card, and you will never have to go to consulate, hopefully ever again. But if your 45 is denied and you want to still get the green card, you might have to go back and apply for the immigrant visa at the consulate, get that approved, then come back in. But today's sessions, we learned a lot about, well, what if your 45 gets denied? Should you file another 45? Should you do a motion to reopen? Should you do a motion to reconsider? There's a lot of things that can possibly happen. But if you are in the adjustment of status process, hopefully, fingers crossed, your case will get approved and you don't have to go to consulate.
So there are options even if the AOS is denied.
Yes.
So you don't necessarily have to go back.
That's right.
Okay. What other big takeaways from sessions this year have you got?
There was a really interesting session talking about influencers, content creators, gamers, streamers, TikTokers, because there are people all over the world right now flying into the United States for the World Cup, for a lot of different things, for Olympics later on, and that is becoming the current trend. A lot of people's full-time job is to do content creation, and they have brand partnerships, and they are influencers in the sense of everything they do. They are showcasing a product or a service, and they get paid for it. As a tourist visa holder, as a tourist and as a ESTA visa waiver, you are not allowed to work. But in the world today, there's a new profession of content creators and influencers when they come to the US and how often do they come to the US, is that considered work? There's an in-depth panel discussing that, and it branched into a lot of in-depth discussion about O1s and P1s, and that is something to really think about. Today is probably not the right time for us to go that deep into it, but if you are getting paid and you are coming to the US, that is something to think about and how you want to answer really correctly to the officer. Some answers are okay. Some answers will doom your case and will cause your visa to be revoked, and you have to apply for a waiver later on. It becomes very problematic.
Yeah, I definitely want to do a separate video on this to post on YouTube, because they got pretty deep with that. It was kind of unexpected. When you achieve your dual degree of the JD and MBA,
okay,
and you pass the bar exam, should you then take the CPA exam to solidify your MBA?
You know, I just went back and visited Pepperdine, and I remember when I was there thinking about that, because Pepperdine had a really good JD MBA program. I mean, not many schools have both a great business school and a great law school at the same time. And I was this close to doing it because I like business and I do business immigration law. And so when I was doing my JD, I was like, man, should I add it on? And just a couple years ago, I was really thinking about, should I get my EMBA, executive MBA, because I've been running our international firm for like 10 plus years now. And I accepted into several EMBA programs. My answer, and this is very personal, is that the world has changed so much since the time of what an MBA gets you. The knowledge, the network, I feel like there's so much that you can get, and it's so much more important than a degree. License is pretty important. A degree, a little bit less so. If you are a CPA, you can write certain legal opinion letters as a CPA. As a lawyer, you could do certain legal opinion letters. For an MBA, maybe, unless you're trying to go into finance and unless you're trying to go into SEC law, and you might need that to analyze certain things, maybe it's not that worth it. So I don't really recommend the MBA path. CPA, I heavily considered, but ultimately, I feel like in this day and age, 2026, the most important thing you really need to learn and do is probably learn AI.
Just like CBP and just like USCIS, I guess.
Well, you learn it how to use it as a tool and learn how to spot it when somebody else is using that tool against you, right? So learning how that technology works, essentially.
I'm a permanent resident. My green card is expired for 5 years now. I applied for my SD1 visa. He's approved. How? I don't know.
Yeah, but congrats. Any approval is great, right? Celebrate the wins.
Don't forget people skills. We need them more than AI. Or we need them more with AI.
With the age of AI, people skills become much more important.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, talking about this MBA, right? How many AILA conferences would the money you spent to MBA buy you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, here's a clear math that I did when I was deciding whether or not to add additional master's degree, because I was actually deciding adding an MBA to my JD or adding a master's in dispute resolution to my JD, right? And I calculated it. Pepperdine was going to charge me $20,000. And I thought, well, what is $20,000? It is $500 for like a long time. I don't know exactly how many years, but I just remembered it's like almost the rest of my life. If you calculate interest and investment and all that, right? So, but what is $500, you ask? Well, $500 is almost like a mini Apple product for the rest of your life. So it's like, would I rather have this additional master's degree, or would I rather have a brand new Apple product every single year for the rest of my life? And would that bring me more joy? Would that bring me more utility? Well, I thought about it, and it was a pretty easy decision on my part at that moment. I don't know, right? Everybody has different ways to kind of analyze things. But nowadays, how much is an MBA? It's no longer 20,000, right? It might be 150,000. So think about that. How many subscriptions can you buy with that, right? You can buy all the AI subscriptions, probably, right? $20 here, $50 there, buy all of it. If you had all the AI subscriptions, will that make you a better human being than having this degree? Your call. Your call.
What problems can I have with CBP if I enter the US with a tourist visa but still have an expired green card?
I've seen that be successful many times. The biggest problem that I saw this happen I want to say a couple months ago. It's ridiculous, actually. The client got the tourist visa, had a green card expired, entered the country several times over many years. I want to say like 3-4 years. But guess what? Every single time the client came into the US, showed the passport, showed the visa, officer let them in, they let the person in as a green card holder and not the B1, B2 visa. And because when we went into the system to search, there was no I-94. There was no record of them entering as a tourist visa. And that was a big problem because they don't want the green card. They want to enter as a tourist visa, and now they are stuck. So that's a problem that we're facing. And this happens routinely when somebody has multiple identities. Not illegal. You can have multiple passports. You have multiple different names. You can have one person can have multiple visas. You can be a student visa and a tourist visa, and you can have a green card. You probably can't have a citizenship, but you can have multiple methods to enter a country. But the officer, CBP, can only allow you to enter on one of them, and you need to make the officer know which one you want to enter and make sure they let you in on that right, visa.
So some follow-ups. Can you help with deferred inspection? I have a clean record, and my son is U.S. citizen, over 21. Also, a little bit more. Applied for SB1, was denied, classic. So I applied for B1, B2, that was approved.
Yeah.
And I was away for 9 years to take care of my sick father.
Makes sense. And so you're coming into the country as a tourist visa, but what happened with the deferred inspection?
Good question.
Because most of the time when I get involved with deferred inspection is when somebody confiscates the green card. Now, let's say you came in as a tourist visa and with an expired green card, but the officer accidentally admits you as a green card and you don't want that. You want your tourist visa. Sure, I can help you go to deferred inspection and say, officer, you let this person as a green card, your mistake. Please let them in as a tourist visa. But maybe you'll be like, nope, that was great. Now I got my green card back, right? And then I apply 990, you get your green card, hallelujah. That will be great, So usually we get involved with deferred inspection when the officer does something to you and you now need representation to get it back or change it.
What should I do if I want to stay after my J1 visa? I'm not applied on the 2 years residence.
J1, you're allowed to change status. You might need a waiver. And there's a lot of options for a lot of different people, right? And so look through all the different visa categories, see which one is the best fit. Here's something that we learned, I think the last conference we went to, and is that J1 waivers are no longer slam dunk. Even if you get the waiver, USCIS might not still accept it. And so that is something to be conscious about. And
okay,
with that,
our final
question.
Squeeze one more question.
Okay.
This is still on the coming back with an expired green card.
Okay.
Will CBP pressure me to sign an I-407? I don't want to be turned back, sent home, and I also don't want to be detained.
That's a hard question because here's what I know. CBP has formally said they don't like to force clients to sign 407s. They don't want to do 407s. It's a pain in the butt. They don't want to do it. But I've seen them continue to do it. So it's a possibility. I've also seen officers ask a client to sign a 407 and the client says, no, I don't want to sign it. And then CBP passes them over to ICE and then they get detained for over 5 weeks. And then they have to voluntarily depart and leave the country. That was a nightmare. I've seen that happen. I've seen officers also give I-193s. I've seen officers do deferred inspections. So I've seen the full gambit of possibilities. The only thing I could think of is just to prepare your case really, really well and choose the best port of entry. Don't choose a super strict one. And within that port of entry, find the best method of entry, because at every airport, they have certain processes in which you might have a higher chance of success. But if you were to ask me, Mexican border is definitely the best. Big airports are better than small airports. Big airports that cater to celebrities, and you use their VIP service, probably better. If you can have global entry, if you have other clearances, probably better. If you can have letter of regs, if you have entry packages, even better. You're doing everything to kind of improve your case. But again, I think we've made over 100 videos on this entry. If you check out our YouTube channel, check out like green card holder reentry, you can see a lot of the different things. Hopefully that's helpful. We're gonna be here again tomorrow for another live. And again, all of this is recorded and it'll be on our YouTube channel probably in the next few days. Take care. See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. We will be here tomorrow at 6 p.m. And yes, we can, okay, it's complicated. We can't represent the clients at the Mexico border, but
well, yeah, we can, because I do prepare G28 and I go talk to the officer and I prepare everything. So in some ways we do represent you, right? But check out our videos, because I literally walk you through 50 plus cases, exactly what we do and how we do it.
And you can always book a consultation too if you want to.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks everyone. We will be live at this time tomorrow.